This show is brought to you by DF Studios Limited. Whether you're a business owner or entrepreneur, DF Studios will guide and assist you on the best ways to promote your brand digitally, in addition to creating visitor and customer generating content like blogs, social media posts, videos, and even podcasts like this one you're listening to right now. Visit dfstudiosltd.com or hit up info@dfstudiosltd.com for more info. Right, so this is another episode of BBB Radio Interviews. I know I haven't done one of these in a long while, but here I am again. Of course, I'm Matthew Bailey, and today I will be talking to Randy Van Gelder of the pop rock band Echo Strike.
Hello.
Yes.
How are you?
yes, folks, this is off the cuff, so you might have like a few seconds of right. Okay, and I say something, right? Yeah. So essentially, I have covered two of Echo Strike's albums. Well, sorry, actually three of them. Actually,
did do three.
yeah. Well, that would be the because I'd never covered the first your debut
the first
project.
album. Yeah, the first album was, and the interesting thing is, the first album was made before the whole band was together. So the first album kind of brought me to where the rest of the band came into play. So the first album is just me, just done here locally. Right. But yeah, you came in it Not Inside Your Mind.
Yes. That was in 2020 when I first started doing Fiverr reviews. I was just amazed, like, oh my God, there's a pop rock band that actually wants me to cover their work, right? I really enjoyed that record, and the following year we had Dirty, Clean, Sexy, Mean, which was, it had like this nice blend of like throwback, disco and funk, along with the classic rock and pop music and whatnot, right? Still to this day, I am still amazed, at that Sweet Child of Mine cover that you did. That caught me completely by surprise, man. I really enjoyed that. And of course, 1970, which of course, is a tribute to, Staying Alive, Bee Gees and whatnot, right?
Of course.
This year we had Can't Do Anything Right. I covered that, in March. And I was meaning to, to meet up with you, to talk about the creativity, just the thought process and whatnot behind that record. But, just a lot of things just got in the way. But, finally we're here. Finally we could get a chance to talk about it, right?
Of course.
So to everyone who has no clue who you are, who has no clue who Echo Strike is, you have the floor. Take it away. Just let the world know who is Echo Strike, and especially how you guys met.
Well, Echo Strike kind of came about over a long period of time, but it began early 2000s when I gave up music and went into the business sector, because I just felt that at that moment I had to focus in, start the family, do other things that people normally do. And as I've had success in my software and other businesses, slowly that music came back into my life. And I met Bo and Jonathan, who's my producer and one of my lead guitarists, and they heard a lot of the music I had written, and they were like, "Why haven't you produced something?" So I'm like, "Well, good question." And then that's when it just the answer was, it's time. Let's get back to it. So we put down our roots, took about 18 months, got the first album done. And at that point, I had been going back and forth because I have a lot of things going on in Argentina. And one of my trips right after releasing that album, or as I was releasing it, I met the other group members by happenstance. They heard the album, and then we began planning a tour. They were going to play songs from my album as the band, learning my songs, right?
Right. Who are the other band members?
Well, that brought in Juan Zeta, the guitarist, Homer, who is the bassist, Jew, likes to be called Angel, but Giuseppe. He is both a keyboardist and probably in the future album that's coming up, my co-composer. So this will be the first time that we have compositions that aren't mine in the next album. And I should say it's more of a collective. And then we have John Peace, who's on the drums. We also have Miley, who's our new background vocalist for the live shows, and she'll also be appearing on the new album. So we're going to include a little bit more female vocals in some on some tracks. And that brought us together. And what happened was, and this is really the key, I had a 13-show tour planned in March 2020. I get there, the band was really playing my music. They were learning my music. We had the first night, was March 10th, the first night of the show, the very first show. That night, the Argentine president came on and said all U.S. citizens who have come into the country in the last 2 weeks must immediately go into quarantine or lose your passport. So there went the tour right then and there. That night, while I had to decide that night, actually, because I knew he was saying it prior to me playing, and I said, you know what, I'm going to at least, if I can only get one in, I'm getting one in, because it was our first tour ever. I mean, and it got canceled right at the same moment that COVID hit. But that led to everything, because had that not occurred, you know, maybe we go out and do the tour on my first album, you know, which is more of a relaxed album. It's not as much, it's got a little bit more acoustic to it. It's a little bit more slower pace than the other albums. And maybe that leads us down a different path. But what it did is it stuck me in an apartment. And and that apartment I was stuck in for 3 months, could not leave it except 5 times to go to the grocery store and back. And that's it for 3 months before I could escape Argentina. And what happened is I started writing Not Inside Your Mind. I had nothing else to do. The guys would hear my compositions, and they were also eventually in quarantine after I was. And they would record their guitars, send it to me, and I would collaborate, and I'd put them back in. They would replace some of my work with their work. They're better musicians than me. I'm good at everything, but I'm not great at any one. And so that's how we formed Not Inside Your Mind. And the title of that is because I was going a little crazy inside the apartment. And so because of that, and actually Dirty, Clean, Sexy, Mean, both of those albums were essentially done while we were still in some form of quarantine or masks and lockdowns and not playing in public places. So it gave us a chance to write 2 albums. And we wrote a lot more than that, but those 2 albums were produced. So instead of letting COVID get us down, we used it and leveraged it to expand our musical presence and get more towards the music that we wanted to create. And so that's how it all came together. And now it's like a machine. Now we're going on tours together, traveling, doing a lot more than we could, with the next step to go probably in the fall, their fall, our spring. We'll be leaving Argentina for some other countries. And then hopefully by next end of the year or summertime, we can finally make our way to the United States.
Okay, great. When it comes to just the song ideas and concepts, right? Because one thing that I do, like when I jump into an album, it's not like everything has to be, you know, thematic or, you know, has to have some particular theme or whatnot, right? But I do like it, like when I'm just digesting the album, I realize, wait, there's something going on here. There's some kind of story that's taking place, right? And I really picked that up on, you know, the second album that you guys dropped, right? This sort of idea of, you know, just heartbreak and relationships and just different things, right? So is it that you just have that in mind when you're just putting out music, that, okay, it's all going to connect to some big, you know, theme or whatnot, or is it just you're just putting out songs that, you know, are literally in your head?
Well, it's interesting because for what I believe I really created Echo Strike. Honestly, the core reason for creating it was that there's a lot of great music out there, but there wasn't anything exactly as I wanted to hear. I mean, there's a certain sound I'm looking for, and that sound changes and adjusts, but still there's an idea there. And so my idea to Echo Strike is let's take the bigger picture and then work back to the story. The bigger picture is that each album I want to take on another a challenge. So that second album, we have kind of like, it's more of a hodgepodge of different styles kind of coming together to form the sound of Echo Strike, right? And so you have some areas you'll see in the album concept that you're talking about. There'll be, I believe, starting with Let It Shine, and then It's All Right, and You. Those three songs are a little bit more rock acoustic, not acoustic per se. There's but some level of more of a lighter tone, but they're all kind of more meaningful songs. One's about bullying and being yourself, and another one's It's Gonna Be Okay in general, and then another one is yes, more relationship related. In that particular album, I'd say there are thematic themes that connect. Catch Me connects to Revisionist, for example. Revisionist is part 2 to Catch Me. You have, of course, Like Candy, which is purely a party song and fun, but that connects later to Dig In, which is more of a sexual song. And so on and so forth. The theme of that album was to create our sound, our new sound from the first album that didn't include all these different people. But yes, leading in, now the next album, what do we want to do? We don't want to stay in that same lane. We want to keep our Echo Strike sound, but add disco elements. We wanted in Dirty Clean, Sexy Mean. It's a 4-part album, essentially, where you have an area that is kind of more of the dirty sound. You have a clean sound. Then you have a mean sound. The mean sound starts around Dangerous Woman and The Stranger and Demons. So that little segment is the mean part of the album. And there's a sexy part, and so on and so forth. So the concept is there. That particular album was written with different songs in those buckets, and we chose based on kind of which ones had the sound we were looking for. And after that album came the 4th album, which was I promised the guys that the 4th album we would focus much more heavy on the rock part of the sound. And so we have a very rock-centric album. It's pop rock, electro pop rock, but more of a rock sound. We always try to keep to our core, but spread out, like Maze of Doubt, Come Away With Me. Those are very rock-centric songs. Now, the stories are a little different. So, for example, yes, I write different. I'll go through different kind of categories, and I'll be in a certain mood, and I'll write parts like Dangerous Woman and The Stranger and Demons. I did kind of write those 3 together because it was I needed to get into the mindset of more of a darker mindset. When her smile, Everything Hums. These songs are very, very sweet and more loving. And so, again, I wrote those songs during a moment. I won't go into any specifics.
That's fine. That's fine.
But the idea is, everyone has ebb and flow in their life. And so I try to utilize whatever I'm feeling at the moment to incentivize what I'm writing. So you can kind of get where I was with Can't Do Anything Right. Of course, that story has some real truth to it and some fantasy.
I could imagine. I could tell. Yeah.
And what's interesting is when I wrote Can't Do Anything Right, that particular song, I immediately knew that was the first song on the album and the album name, because I think that is that created the solid ground to what that album is about. It's essentially not an album about, most people write albums about, breaking up and hating the person that hurt them and all of that kind of stuff. And in some aspects, that could happen. But in this album, it's actually going in some ways back and forth. You are the problem sometimes. They might be the problem sometimes. Sometimes you're on the upward swing to repair things, and then you're back down at the bottom again, and then you're trying hard. Then you're out on your own trying to find something to distract you, and then you're returning back to that person again saying, God, what am I doing? I've got to fix this. And so it is truly from the start to finish that kind of roller coaster of a toxic relationship. And that one was written. There's only one song on there that was written before all the other songs, and that is Hollow. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, Hollow fit the album and the moment, and that was actually written for album 2. It didn't make the cut at the time. We have many songs that should be on an album somewhere, but they just can't quite make the cut, whether it's because we didn't work hard enough on that one yet, or we've held it back because it didn't fit the album. Like the new album we're coming out with, there's a couple songs that are amazing that we cannot put on the album because it's just not going to fit the concept or the sound. But but in a future album, we have at least 3 or 4 albums worth of songs that are not released.
All right. So before we get to Can't Do Anything Right, I have to talk about the visual side of, or I should say, you will talk about the visual side of Echo Strike, right? Those album covers. Wow, I've brought them up in my reviews. We just the ideas, especially with like the with Can't Do Anything Right, and I keep butchering up that last project, man. I'm sorry.
Dirty Clean.
Yeah, Dirty Clean, Sexy Meat, right? Dirty Clean, Sexy Meat. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, just the ideas behind those album covers, and even not inside your mind as well. Like
well, that one's really interesting.
Yeah.
If you look really close, actually here, I can, oh, hold on. Yeah. Let me see if I can turn off this background for a second. Well, it doesn't matter. Point is, if you look,
I'm familiar with it. It's fine.
If you look really close, you'll see 2 things are happening in that. There are thousands of pictures of our band inside the eye, making up the actual mosaic itself.
Okay,
and
no, I did not see that. I just sort of saw like some wrinkly skin. Like I'm just looking at the wrinkly skin aspect around the eye. Like I'm not really focusing on the eye.
I'm going to show you the original the original mosaic that was created.
Sure.
See if it will let you see it.
Oh, okay. I see it.
So this is actually physically pieces of rock.
Oh,
created.
All right. I like
and that was the original. It's an original piece of art. That's my eye. That someone in Argentina designed this mosaic of my eye. It's big. It weighs a ton. And so what I did is I took a picture of that. Then I took thousands of our pictures that we had, and I superimposed all of those to create the eye on top of the eye.
All right. What software did you use? I'm just.
I don't remember it was there's a site I had to pay for it. Maybe it was like Shutterfly or someone who would take all your pictures and then use the coloring in the pictures on top of the eye. I have a great shot of it. Hold on, I got to do this for you because it's really.
Oh, please,
cool.
Yeah.
Let me change my background, turn it off. You can see my office for a second. All right, so on my other computer screen here, you'll see that these are little pictures, very little pictures. I don't know how. Oh, hold on, is it turned on? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so all of these are little tiny squares are colored around the eye. So I give the eye a kind of a red coloring. And then it uses little pictures to put in. So here's John and here's Jew. You can't see it probably in clearly. Here's Juan and so on. And it takes the coloring of the pictures and put it in. So when you zoom in really close, you see all of our band and all of the activity up to that point is actually in that.
That is amazing, man.
So yeah. I believe not only in the true art of an album. I know that even my producer, Jonathan, will say over and over again, it doesn't matter, singles are everything nowadays. And yeah, maybe he's right. But for me, I still believe in that. And I believe that the cover represents what's inside that album. And especially if you're doing something that has a concept to it, you want to do it. And Dirty Clean's cover is a game board. Well, people wouldn't know this, but the name Echo Strike comes from the game Master of Wills, which is the game I invented.
Okay. And thank you, because that was like one question that I had in mind. The origin of that name Echo Strike.
Well, there's two reasons for that name. The first is one of my original characters, Echo Strike. And the second reason is that Echo Strike, the echo represents what I believe our songs do. They get in your brain and they echo and echo, and you can repeat them. We have a lot of, very earworm type of music that can really get there and
especially when it comes to choruses.
Yes.
You nail you have like very very catchy choruses. I must say. Yeah.
It is a drive for me to create music that everybody likes. And interestingly enough, you mentioned before, I know that your podcast has has one section of music that you focus in on. But you have to understand, my producer, Jonathan Broussard, he is a hip hop and R&B producer. That's what he has done. That's what he mixes. That's what he makes. He's one of my best friends, but he's also I also purposely want someone like him to be on that other end, because what he allows, he allows us, like the rest of the band and all of us, we're all from different musical loves. We love different
Right.
kinds of music. And so to have someone that does hip hop music producing a rock album, you're going to get some influence from him to create a more well-rounded sound for many, many people. So,
Right.
I always tell people that you may not love every Echo Strike song. You'll like them, probably you'll like them all, but you will love a few of them, and you will
Oh yeah.
find that everybody might love two different songs. That may be, you love these two, that this person loves those two, completely different. It makes it a little hard to pick what single to go with. But in general, that's kind of the concept. And Echo Strike came from both Master of Wills, and so if you download Master of Wills, the game, it's free,
Oh,
and you
nice.
play it,
Okay.
and you play the game, that you'll hear the not acoustic, the instrumental versions of some of our songs in the game when you're playing online.
All right. So is it like exclusively through the Echo Strike label? Sorry, brand. So is it like an Echo Strike game, or is it just
No,
a game that you've put out on your own?
No, this game came out before Echo Strike. It's been 5 years in. We used to travel around the country. It's a board game first. Just masterwills.com. You check it out, and you can and there's an online version of the game that you can play and you can learn. It's a very good. It's a card game. It's a card game, and it's one of the most unique. We have the patent for it, and it's hard to get a game patent. Because all games are copies of other games usually, but our game is so unique and so inventive that game we did get the federal patent for it.
Okay. So one more question before we dive into the album proper.
Sure.
The music videos. One thing that I just love about your music videos is just how vibrant they all are. You could tell that you and your team are just having fun. It's these not always cinematic concepts, but I could always pick up on, oh, okay, it kind of reminds me of some scene in a film or some sort of like scenario. So case in point, Come Away With Me, for example, has a sort of a, how to say, sort of a medieval kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it, but also kind of folk horror in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I just want to know, like, do you come up with the ideas for these music videos, or is it just you guys just come up with some? I think this idea would suit best with this song and whatnot. So, is it like your ideas or the band's ideas?
Typically, and the band will tell you that usually it's my idea, and it's not because the band's idea. So we'll release one soon called Open the Door that has some shots from the band filming one, but they know me, and I like, for example, the one I sent you yesterday or the other day. That one was I've directed all of those, but this last one was like real direction. I didn't even film my parts in that until another day.
Yeah.
Because
I was actually looking around for you in that video, and then I saw you with the manager, with that wig, and I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah, it took a minute, right? Yeah, because it's quite a character, but the thing is, yeah, Come Away With Me, for example, sometimes we just want to perform in other ways. So I always think that what makes things interesting about our albums, we can apply to the visuals too, because in our albums, you'll notice that many of the songs, I might be singing high, I might be singing low, I might be doing some falsetto, I might be, fast, slow. I will be all over the place. I may not be the best singer, in the world. There are professional singers that are going to be better than me, but I have a very wide range to be able to perform. And the same applies for the videos. I like to use the band as the actors, if as much as I can, because it's fun for us to get together and to perform and to give people a feeling about what something's about. The Come Away With Me one is a very unique one because it had more to do with the fact that we could get. I did want to film something, and I didn't know which song would work, but I wanted a medieval take, but not just medieval. I wanted it to be kind of hodgepodge medieval. So you have like one person like in a Three Musketeers kind of outfit, another person in a wizard outfit, a knight outfit, all kind of periods and times and mixes. But that place, by the way, you said kind of thriller horror. Well, that house that the drummer goes up to that looks in, I swear that house was haunted. And it was built in the early 1800s. They were all abandoned, and they're all three of these houses were in one place in this forest that was very scary. So I was like, so it's in outside of Villa Allende, Argentina, and it was horrifying, that house. I could not go up to that window, that little slit, and look in it without feeling this bad presence. And I'm not a believer necessarily in that kind of stuff, but you know, that house is the closest thing I've ever been to feeling a bad presence. Anyway, not the sidetrack, but yeah, the ideas, I usually come up with different ideas. I just like songs. I have 3 or 4, 5 videos we haven't released that I just wasn't happy with. So we just don't release, you know, I'm toying around. I have Reset My Soul, the last song on Can't Do Anything Right. I have a great video. It's a great concept, but we couldn't quite capture it the way I wanted to. So I'm kind of still messing with it. And it's like 6 months later. And I'm like, you know, I'm still kind of, because it was a single shot of me on one street singing the whole song, walking backwards until I'm at the very end of the street. And it's a one long shot, but we tried to do these things on the sides, but the camera wasn't quite at the same angle as it was, but it's not aligning perfectly. So I'm having to figure out other ways to visualize some of the things that we filmed. And then I have another one, Open the Door, which the band filmed themselves without me. I said, hey, why don't y'all take this song and y'all try to do one when I'm not there. And it was okay. I mean, some of the shots were good and some of the musical shots were really good, but I didn't really think the concept was good enough. And so I actually then started working on other pieces. So there's dancing and stuff in the video now. And then I have a small part in the video as well. So I'm still working on that. Those are both going to probably be released in the next few weeks. But yeah, I love doing that, and I want to continue to. Like every time I travel down there, we film at least 1 or 2 videos. The one with Come Away With Me, we filmed. I'm not kidding. We filmed 6 videos in a 4-week period while I was down there. Now we haven't released all of them, but we filmed them. And the most recent one is an animation, which
which caught me by surprise, because I'm like, like I understand, you know, budgetary, you know, issues and whatnot, but yeah, I was a little thrown off by it, but then when I saw the concept play off for itself, especially with, you know, I just love, you know, the character of of your ex, you know, with these fiery eyes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I love how it just kind of shows that behind her you just seeing fiery buildings and whatnot.
Yeah,
so it's just like chaos all over the place. I like that.
You know, to me, it fits, because what it is another different style and a different thing. That's what we like to do. We like to explore different styles of music, and we want to explore different visual compasses, because, you know, you remember Like Candy, you did a write-up for it. Like Candy was very interesting because we filmed it in 4 different countries. Because of COVID, we could not physically get there. So it was actually filmed in Russia. It was animated in Istanbul. It was shot with the guys in Argentina and my parts in Texas. So we had to collaborate, especially during the COVID times, on some videos. Just Fly. There's some that are, you can tell, are more homemade, if you will. But
like Have Fun, for example, has a very homemade feel to it.
Yeah. That one's just for fun. It's all about having fun and when you're, you know, not ever letting yourself get down. And so we were on tour. We were in a house, and I'm like, why don't we just film a video here inside the house? Let's choose one of the songs and let's pick one that makes sense and let's concept it. And I said, let's just have fun, because have fun is one thing we're doing, and we can just enjoy it. And that one, in collaboration with the band to figure out, what scenes to do and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd say why not? You want people to come along on the ride with you. You know what I mean? You want people to, when you put something out, and it's a shame, because the hardest thing is I've spent a lot on developing this. I haven't spent maybe as much as I should on the marketing, because we don't have a record company. I'm funding everything myself. And so it's not like I have unlimited resources to do this.
Right.
But at the same time, if people knew how much we put into it, and also listened to the music and understood, the following will grow. We will get to where we want to go, because it does start with the music, and music is, I think, both original, catchy, fun, sometimes serious, but it gives you all the emotions that you want, and at the same time it gives you all the flavors that you want. So I'm hopeful that the next album will complete a circle of life, because we're going to be exploring something very, very different, and the music it will be the first time when we take the next step, that people are like, holy shit.
All right, well, I can't wait, man. All right, well, let's jump into Can't Do Anything Right? So I'm gonna just go through it, track by track. I'm just gonna just do like 3 at a time, and then
Sure.
once you get to track 13 and 14, because those are just 2 tracks, of course. It'll just be 2, right? But you just start with 3, and then 3 and onwards, right? So
Sure.
on the subject of music videos, right? Can't Do Anything Right. I was surprised that that awesome, that brilliant album cover that I absolutely love. That concept is just so simple but so brilliant at the same time, and kind of sums up, the narrative of this album, if you will.
Mhm.
I was just amazed that when I actually saw that video, I actually saw when it came out. Yeah, like that actual shot actually concludes that music video. I was so amazed by that. So
Yeah, we
about that track itself, right? I just really like that idea of, like it's how I described it in my review here. It's almost like you're in the middle of a crime scene, and you just try to figure yourself out, but it's essentially about you just dealing with this loss, dealing with this breakup, and just kind of beating yourself down, like, oh man, I just can't do anything right. I'm not some savior, you know what I mean? You just keep beating yourself down like that, right? And I just
right.
think that that's just like the perfect setup, perfect intro for this album here. But yeah, I was just surprised again with just how the music video like literally ties not only into the
We
song and the album, but just that
Well,
cover as
what
well.
happened with that? What happened was, an interesting story is, we didn't plan that shot at all.
Oh,
That
okay.
The album cover just happened. I don't smoke. Juan does, but I do not. But for whatever reason, I reached out he was like, give me the cigarettes, and I reached out, and the photographer took a shot. We have several shots from that. And when I saw the raw picture, when it was sent out, I immediately went to that, Sistine Chapel idea of,
That's it, Sistine Chapel. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
the hand of God reaching out, and I saw, and Juan has a pink shirt on, and I'm like, it's almost like he represents the bad, and he's tempting me to make a decision that could be, that could have alter your life. Now, it's a simple thing to call it the cigarette or the cigarettes as the representation of some evil thing being put out to you. And will I take it or will I not? The apple. You know what I mean? And when I saw that, first of all, when I went into that bathroom, it's a Peruvian restaurant in
Oh,
in in Argentina, and I went into the bathroom to use the bathroom. And I'm like, this old tub was in here and all this. And we happened to
okay.
have a photographer there eating. It was at the end of a tour. And I called her in. I said, listen, come to the bathroom with me. She looks at me, it's really funny. And, and I said, no, really, bring your camera. and then Juan just happened to come with me, and it was him and I in there for a little while. And yeah, we just started taking shots, and when I saw it, it was so profound to me that it made such sense of that thing that's all you're always searching for and having to make the decisions in your life that could take you down the wrong path or the right path, and that it says it all in that one picture. So I wanted to go back and shoot that shit in that restaurant. So the entire thing, that video, everything is shot in that restaurant.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
On the roof, on the stairway, on all the, we rented it out and said, hey, I think we gave them, a little bit of money to keep it closed for a little time for us. We shot everything back in there because it was just so profound to me. But sometimes it happens. I had a completely different cover in mind until I saw that image. And I talked to the band too. I said, guys, listen, I want you to know, it's no offense to the band because the rest of the guys aren't on the cover. You have to deal with that. You don't want to feel like you're promoting this one person in the band and not the other. But the band and the way that we operate is so wonderful. They saw the same thing that I did. They saw exactly why this needed to be the cover, and they understood that, even with the language barrier, they understood it. And people, have to understand, there's so much balance in your life, and I want to keep everyone happy, and I try to give everyone a little bit of FaceTime and things like that. But sometimes the moment is captured and you see how profound it is and you go with it.
Right. Now, I know it's not really like intentional, right? But, I just managed to pick up sort of a loose narrative, similar to Dirty Clean Sexy Mean, right? Where, you're just seeing this character, as to say your character, more or less dealing with this breakup, right? So what I put with the second track, Good Is Gone, is that it kind of reveals that you've been through this before, right? So, you start off with, on the hook, where you say lost you once, now you lost me twice, right? So yeah, I just sort of picked up like, okay, this is familiar territory with you and your ex on this album here, right?
Sure.
And I just love like with that particular track where it kind of sounds like you're singing from her perspective or vice versa, but it's you could easily interpret it as it works both ways, right? So it's either from your or hers, right? So I really love that, right? And then also with the following track, Never Too Late, which you talked about. I dug the whole 80s synth vibe of it as well too. And here, again, it's just you just not being able to deal with this breakup. It's like, okay, again, we're doing this, right? But I like that, there is a particular moment where you bring up the fact that, you want to fix things, right? So like I wrote in my review, I just quoted this line where, you said, I know that I could fix the things that are broken, but you have to let me in so I can solve them. So I like that. I like that idea. It's something I could personally relate to where, you kind of look at yourself and be like, yeah, I could be doing this better, you know what I mean? Because I'm just causing this girl misery. So what can I do to fix this, right? And I just love that idea through the album where, you're just trying desperately to fix this relationship, but it's just not working. So yeah, just want to hear your words on it. Just the ideas behind Good Is Gone and Never Too.
It's really quick. Good Is Gone, one of my favorite songs on the album. We do that live. Never Too Late, we do live as well. Good Is Gone is, you picked it up right. It can be seen from two perspectives. It's also there's a little bravado in that one, like, see ya, I'm out of here. You don't take it as seriously. And then very quickly, it's followed by, but wait a second, it's never too late, and the yin and yang of the, it's okay, screw you, I'm out of here. To wait, I want you back and I'm willing to fix it. That is in itself where the toxic relationships, that ebb and flow of toxic relationships is immediate and fast and furious. And so those two songs were specifically put there. It's a very strong start to the album, those three songs in a row. And I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to kind of pace them out, but that's how they fit. And that's basically what it is. So it gives you an immediate feeling. At first, the album's been the story of Can't Do Anything Right fits the whole album. Then Good Is Gone is a little bit more upbeat. Bravado and Never Too Late is wait a second, I want you back, and what can I do? Which is essentially what leads to the next part of the album, which opens the door for a whole nother kind of more a different style to come into the album.
Right, right. So up next we have one of my favorite tracks, In My Head. Love the video fit, by the way. It's simple, but I just love that it's just a close up of you and this person, and just enlightened. Just that use of like green and blue. I'm sorry, not blue, red. I particularly love that, right? But I just love here with this track. It's like I said, just has some of the best writing on this record, bar none. I love the emphasis on the word you, and again, it's open to the listener, whether it's from her perspective or yours, but I think in this case it kind of blends, especially in the second half of the song, where it's almost like you're just literally lashing out to like, what, I'm done with this, like, just literally get out of my head, you know what I mean? But it could very well be from her perspective as well too, so absolutely love that. But yeah, well, before I jump into Light Twice and Maze of Doubt, yeah, just the idea behind In My Head.
In My Head is, and I won't shy away from it. It's my favorite song on the album.
Nice. I'm
I
not surprised, actually. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
It was a flip between that and the last one, Reset My Soul.
yeah. This In My Head is a powerful song to me, and I love to sing it. It's kind of interesting because the band always thinks that one is going to be so hard if I have a cold, or at the end of a show, we want to do that one, because I'm like, it's actually easier song to sing than most songs, with the exception of the very last verse, which sometimes, depending on where we are, I'll go down instead of up, because it is very hard, that last verse. But the rest of the song is almost like a dream. It's at this stage, from my perception, you're going through these iterations in your head. So what happens near the end of the song is it becomes a little bit more of you're beginning to see these problems and stuff, and then you're like, forget it.
Yeah.
I got to get out. So it progressively gets stronger and stronger. So although it starts and feels like it's going to be a slow song, it's actually not a slow song at all.
No.
It gets really powerful and really, really great at the end as the crescendo, and it's a beautiful journey with acoustic and electric in it. So it's fun. We perform this song. It's my favorite song to do. But it is really, to me, there are some very small chord changes in the song that throw people off that are playing it. People that like the band always, because I kind of just do a simple reverse between an F and a G, and only twice in the song. There's no real absolute chorus, because
that is true, actually. That is very true. Yeah.
There's the part, I know you. That part repeats only once, and there's only the one time that it actually repeats the words, and then the rest of the song it never comes back. So it's a very structurally interesting song, and I just think overall I'm very proud of that one, because for whatever reason and however it came out, and that's why I wanted the video. I can tell you that at least one person in the band does not agree with my choice of how I displayed the video. It didn't like my concept on that. But I told them, I said, listen, of all the songs on the album, this is the only one I'm not giving you a choice on.
Ouch.
Because it's only because I envisioned it as that dream. And in that dream, the simplicity of it, just your head. And what they did is she filmed around me over and over again. I would sing the song over and she would just go around me. And so when you're singing, and you'll see, if you really look closely, my glasses change over and over again, because every shot my glasses are different shapes or different styles or whatever, and they're changing because they're different shots, but yet the singing is all going to be in the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting concept. Actually, we filmed the girl after I left Argentina, because we had to have her separate. It was separate timing, so that it wasn't filmed at the same time. But it's a great concept. I love that song.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song, man. All right, so up next we have Light Twice, which I call, smooth and radio friendly. Yeah, because it is smooth and radio friendly, right?
Like REM style.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, it's self-explanatory. You lie twice, so again, it's just setting up that again, this is not the first time that you've been through this, right? But it's not just about the lies that you've told your ex, but what she's told you as well, right?
Right.
And I believe this is the only track to feature guest vocals.
Yep.
And as I wrote, it's more or less playing the role of the ex, right? So kind of agreeing with him. Well, sorry, agreeing with you on this album, pretty much, right?
Right.
Up next we have Maze of Doubt, which really dug the video as well too. Did not expect that a majority of it was going to be taking place, I mean, on rooftops. That
Yeah.
actually caught me by surprise there, right? But the premise is straightforward. But I do like how I don't want to say upbeat. I do like how energetic, how tense it is, right? And I imagine this was probably not just a blast to record, but probably to perform as well, especially when that hook comes in. That like I
I
imagine
love it.
that's probably like a crowd pleasing moment. What I mean, when you guys do performances
Yeah, we
of
did.
that song, yeah.
We did. We
So
performed it.
Light Twice and Maze of Doubt. Yeah, just
Well,
the
light
creativity behind
twice is yeah. Look, light twice is exactly what it is. It's a good
it.
point in the album where and basically also the girl singing some of the same lines. So again, from two perspectives.
Right.
But introducing her in at that point just to give some flavor differences is something I like, and I'd like to do more of. And probably, hopefully, we will on this next album. Now, Kata she was my background singer before. She actually moved here to the U.S., so I have a new background singer. So the new one will be
Hey.
on the new album. And then Maze of Doubt, that one is where, what's funny about that song, just a little off the hook here, is I think originally kind of wrote that song as almost like a joke, in a way. Because I'm a rat in a cage. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I realized that it was a perfect compliment for the moment in this album, because both we could go real rock on it. And
Yes.
and then you're also in that situation where now you have doubts of where you're going, what direction. You're like stuck and you don't know where to get out of. So now it's less about the woman in this one or the girl and more about yourself and how you escape this trap, that you're in. And there's a lot of it is influenced by being that rat in the cage, smelling cheese, trying to find your way out,
Of
that
course,
kind
yeah.
of. And so it's got a simple concept, but it actually is interesting too, because there's I think there's 3 different guitar players or 4 different guitar players in that song. So it actually is a difficult song to replicate live in the way with the distortion that we want. So we played it. We're probably not going to play it on our next tour this time that I'm going, only because we needed to replace one song with Hit or Miss. So because we want to introduce a song from the next album coming up before it's even released. But that being said, yes, that one is a lot of fun to play, a lot of energy, and Ju really enjoys it because Ju is a phenomenal musician because he plays the keyboard, manages our tracks, and plays the guitar, and many times in the same song. So he's got the guitar on his back, and he's playing the keyboard, and then he'll have the guitar in front of him, play on the keyboard, go back to the guitar, come out. Some songs he doesn't need the keyboard, some songs he doesn't need the guitar, but most songs he plays a little of both in every song. So it's quite a spectacle to see him, really focused in and playing all the instruments at once. It's very, very cool. It's like a little show within the show. But yeah, Maze of Doubt is fun. The video was a lot of fun to be able to make on the rooftops in Buenos Aires. The girls on the ground are actually in the streets of Cordoba. We are on the rooftops in Buenos Aires when we filmed.
Oh, okay. So it's not okay. I was on the impression it was the same area. Yeah.
But we figured that because it's Argentina architecture, where our location, that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So Just
Yeah.
a little
Well,
insight.
I didn't know. So,
Yeah,
right. So,
little insight.
mission complete, right? Right. So we get the next three songs, which are pretty light. You know what I mean? So even though this is essentially a breakup album, we have some light-hearted moments, right? So we have Hello. Did not expect a music video for this, but great video, by the way, I must say. You caught me with the eyes, though. You know me with the sparkly green
Yeah,
eyes.
it was
More or
hard
less,
video. That was
telling
the
how
hardest
bad it
video.
was.
That was one of those 6 videos we filmed. I'll tell you
Mhm.
why that's so hard is that we were playing that night in that place and we had to get there early. We had
Okay.
2 hours to film everything before that. And
Right.
so people were starting to come in while we were filming and I did not know if we would have enough shots to actually finish the video. And yeah, so that was crazy. And so the quality of it isn't where I'd want because there was a lot of dark areas that we just didn't have lighting for. But the idea was really simple on that one. Just so you know, it's about there's been now time between the last time you've seen that girl
Hmm.
and hello is, oh, she appears
Yes.
after this some time off and it's like, oh, hello, it's nice to see you again,
Yeah.
and kind of restarting something that might have been like maze of doubt. You're kind of on your own. Hello, you've now seen her again.
Yeah. Yeah. And up next we have fun, which you mentioned before. As I said in my review, the most joyous, most danceable song on this record here. And I just like, just from a writing perspective, it's just simple. It's just about, just forgetting the fears and the doubts and just living your life. You know what I mean? You're just moving away from that maze and you're just having fun. You're really enjoying life, right? And you could actually see it too in that music video that we mentioned earlier as well, right? Great song, I must say, right? And then lastly, there's Open the Door, which I am looking forward to that music video of. This to me felt like the most intimate track here because yeah, it's your character and your ex more or less beat it back up, see no more. I do like the 1, 2, 3, 4 count that you do at the end of the hook as well. You know what I mean? Because as I said, it's more or less you're not sure if it's gonna work again. Like you have more. It sounds like you're more optimistic about it. But she's like, I'm still not sure. But it's like, all right, come on, trust me, we could do this again. And it's just the idea of you guys just hooking back up again. So yeah, I just love that sort of ease in terms of that emotion, that heavy emotion that we got early on in that album with
Sure.
those three songs here. So yeah, just you could just give us the background behind Have Fun and Open the Door.
Well, I'd say those 2 songs are the most conceptually kind of more a little electronic, a little bit more on stylistically like maybe previous albums. We wanted to give a little bit of that taste from a music standpoint, and I think you hit it right on the head. Have fun is, let's get out there and just have fun again, right? And
Yeah.
open the door is taking that have fun and now let's get serious,
Mhm.
let's get into the groove again. And so
Yes.
that's why that one is going to have a lot of dancing in it. It's just about opening the door again to possibilities and in general. So though the album is about this toxic relationship and this character model, the songs can generally be heard independently and be used. Like Open the Door doesn't have to be specific to the relationship either, right?
No, no, no. Yeah.
That song is written in a way where it can be more like just open to
Yeah.
anything, and there's
Take
always,
a risk.
yeah,
Yeah.
take a risk, and you always have the chance to open that door. And so, yeah, I mean I think that's sometimes what I like to do on a lot of as many songs as I can is have multiple meanings for people so that people can use it for their own feelings and whatever they may be going through or whatever they want to hear out of it. Like art is intended, though you need to write it. I write it for one specific reason. I always try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, yeah. And well, just to touch on that quickly before we get to the next track, that's why I really admire the simplicity behind the vocals, right? Sorry, behind the lyrics, right?
Mhm.
So it's straightforward, but you could interpret it in not too much ways, but like just in a few ways where it could relate to you. You could understand where the character in this project is coming from and whatnot. But you could also look at it from another perspective as well. So I really like that, right?
If you want more complicated lyrics, go listen to my first album, because there's two things that you'll find really quick when you get into complicated lyrics. Is yes, some of the songs are beautiful songs. The bad part is that when you go down that path, you have a more limited audience, and if you have a more limited audience, you end up with a more limited, message to get out to people. So though, if you go back and listen to the first album, you'll probably find it very appealing, especially once you've heard all of our other stuff. The words, like a song, there's a song on there that I know my friend has, like Mexico and Santa Fe are two wonderful songs on that album, but there's a song called Unless You Ask, and the writing on it is some of my best writing. But that being said, it's conceptually harder for maybe people across the board to understand. It's more poetic. And so you get into the point there that I've learned in my process how to get the message out there by simplifying a little bit. But the challenge in simplifying is still keeping those multiple messages within one single statement, so that people can interpret it in different ways. There's the magic in it. It isn't necessary. Like, I can write anything at any time, and I can go deep and I can go further. But I've been trying to bring that back to a more simplified messaging, and that helps people. Yeah, of course, in my head and songs like that, I kind of fall back in a little deeper, but I try to do as many ways that I can to keep it as simple, because I think it gets to more people that way.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so we have another one of my favorite tracks. This comes right after Open the Door. That is Dagger, right? And as I said in my review here, just the placement of that track right after Open the Door, boy. Wow, that is, it just feels like a gut puncher. You know what I mean? Like, you're just thinking everything's going to be okay. Like, in your mind, you know it's not going to be okay, right? Just given the album title alone, right? But it just comes out of nowhere. It just hits you, boom. You know what I mean? Just hits you in the gut,
and
right?
it's a tough song. It was one of the hardest. I'm not going to go into detail, but that was definitely the hardest song to write.
I could understand, man. Because I mean, here you're just vulnerable, man. It's the you cut me like a knife, right? Trope, right? But you just go so deep into it, and it's just more or less that you're just kind of realizing, sorry, that again, this relationship is not working. I just feel like you're just kind of like stabbing me in the back, like literally, right? So I just love that hook where you say, sharpen your knife, stick me right. You got too close and stab me from behind. Like, geez, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love just near the end where it's revealed that she found somebody else, right? And it just those last moments with you, like we know that you're feeling angry, right? You're pissed off about it, right? But it's like, you know what? It's not worth my time. I gave it a God honest try. I love how you said God honest try. Near the end of that track. You know what I mean? It's just like, I've done it. it. But that's
I'm
it.
glad you noticed that, because that's just a very small, subtle change, but it's an important one.
Yeah. So well, the idea behind Dagger, well, I mean, the obvious,
Dagger is Dagger is a moment, two moments at once, because it's kind of stands by itself. I was kind of shocked at the amount of people that just loved that song. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great song, but there's also just a poetic feeling between the vocals and the guitar in that song that really, if you really listen to those two things going together, the guitar really feels like, it came after the vocals, but it's as if you're writing it together, and you're writing the edge of the knife, Right. And you're at that point where you're at your lowest moment. That is the lowest moment on the album. At the same time, when you're done with that moment, then you're back to you have to bring yourself back, come up again, and go down a different path, which does lead to Come Away With Me. But and Come Away With Me, just before we even go there, Come Away With Me is actually intended to be a sidetrack. It's not about the toxic part. That it's not her again. It's a different. It's more like a
Yes.
different. It's going down a different path, right? But Dagger truly was one of those songs I will never forget. We filmed. We were filming a documentary. Unfortunately, during some of the filming with our first documentary crew, a bunch of our stuff got stolen. All of their equipment got stolen,
Wow.
and so we lost a lot of our a lot of really
Footage.
good footage. But
Right.
we have a moment where we're sitting on the floor playing that song. I had just written it the night before, and the guys were there and they were just looking at the chords, and we just played it acoustic. It's a great version of that song. I'd love to have released it. I don't think we have it, but yeah, that song did cut like a knife to write. It hurt like hell to sing it the first time when I recorded it, but after that, now it's we played it in the last concert for the first time, the last tour we added it. So
Nice.
that one I actually should have a live performance of that one being released on YouTube soon.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it, right? So you could tell me if I'm wrong here, right? But I said in my review of the following tracks, "Come Away with Me" and "Hollow," where it felt like you were going to this particular persona that I noticed from Dirty Clean Sexy Mean, this sort of heartbreaker guy. You know what I mean? He just breaks hearts, but it's all about this his way of moving on, right? So
Right.
I kind of saw that persona, if you will, coming back with those two tracks, right? Where like with "Come Away with Me," for example, it's more or less you're hooking up with somebody else. And it's just for one night apparently, right? So it's like, yeah, come away with
Sure.
me, right? I so in watching the video, right, I had to put on closed caption, right, because there's a line basically where you say you can't fake it all night, or if I got it
Yeah,
wrong, forgive
yeah.
me, right?
Fake it all. Yep, that's
Right.
it.
I was wondering if it was you can or can't. So
You can't.
because if it's can, because I'm thinking,
No,
oh,
you
you
can't.
just you
You
just don't
can't.
care. It's like whatever, right? But it,
No,
it
no,
but
you
it
can't
seems
fake it all
can't.
night. You can't. You can fake it as much as you want, but I know what you want.
Exactly, right, right.
That's
And
that's
and that
essential.
makes a lot more sense because I don't think that, you're so down in your luck that you're just gonna find some girl that's be like, all right, just
Yeah.
whatever. No,
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 no.
no, 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 right?
It's clearly can't.
Yeah. But I like that song though. I called it kind of salacious, almost like, like again, you just have that mindset. You're thinking with right. So it's just when you groove, when you mood,
It's
let's do this, right? So
it's a
I
great song.
like that.
I
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite, and the crazy thing about that one, especially if you listen to the live performance on
Mm.
YouTube, that song is actually better live than our production version, and it was
Oh
because
wow.
it was the last song we added to the album. So it's only a few of us were on that song, and we didn't have two guitarists playing it. I think it was just me and Jew. And now when we add Juan and added the rest, we just didn't have a lot of time. And it was the last song that we added. It
Mm.
was the very last song created. And it just was so good. We just had to include it, which I'm glad we did. But the live version is one of the rare events in which when you hear it live, it blows the doors down. It's one of the
Wow.
everybody tells us that song is like their favorite to hear live. So it is it's interesting because that's hard to do where there's any song that's going to sound better live than the beautifully produced version of it.
Mm.
But that song is that way actually.
Okay. Up next we have Hollow. I called it, the morning after song, but
Yeah.
maybe it is, you could tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe it is actually, just you just realizing that, like it's cool if I hooked up with this one girl one night, but it's not gonna change the fact that this relationship that I had before
Yeah.
is over, right? And
Yeah.
that's where you hit the brought it up on the hook where you said, I knew you were the one for me. You think I am the one for you, but you can be sure it's time to settle the score. I ain't with you anymore. So it's almost like, you know what? Yeah, I guess I just have to accept the fact that this is over for good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way around it, right? So you
And
can
it
tell
might
me
be
if it's the
a
relationship to
little.
her or to the one night stand. The one night
It
stand.
could
This is the
also
one night stand.
be, yeah, it could be a little payback too. It could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a little bit like, you going through your mind. there might be moments where you're like, okay, I won somebody back. She's back with me, but I'm not feeling it like I did before. So maybe I'm going to do this. It's a little hollow feeling, inside. So it can be taken in several different ways. That's why I included it. As I mentioned before, it was a song that wasn't written with the rest of the album, but it measured to where I needed a song that felt this way at that moment. And it just and we've been trying to put it on an album, the last two, because it's a really good song.
It is, yeah.
Just didn't have a place. There's only so many songs you can put on an album, right? So, and this particular album, it fit a great position and a great feeling for that moment, especially after Come Away With Me. It's that moment in which you're going back and forth, but there's always that pit of your stomach hollow feeling about whether it's a decision you're making, whether you want to pay back for the crap that you got. Maybe you're feeling animosity, which you shouldn't feel because you're the one who wanted her back. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows the feeling? But it fits a lot of there's a lot of ways to feel on that song. So I thought it was a good directional song for the album to kind of, what I would say, fit the final two song pieces, because I always get them confused. Rest My Case, Reset My Soul sounds very, very, very much like
they sound like they work harmoniously, like they work in tandem, so on.
And in many ways, Rest My Case was actually the very first song written. The very first song written. It's actually been written for a show. It hasn't been released yet. It would be the theme song of that show.
Really?
Yeah, for Amazon Prime show, but the show is in production.
All right, congrats, man. No, seriously, I'm just amazed that you have a track here that's going to be the theme of an Amazon Prime series.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot. We got a lot cooking. We've got one of my good friends is an actor. He was in Homeland and some other big shows, and he would like Echo Strike to compose an entire track for an entire movie of his. So we've got some fires burning, if you will.
That's great, man. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the last two tracks here, right? So Rest My Case, as you said. This conceptually was the most interesting for me because it's not just about taste that you're talking about, like in the hook where you said it's a taste that lingers on in the mouth. It goes on and on and on. No desire burning out, right? Just that lingering feeling of your ex just out there, right? But in particular, how you talk about the world around you is changing, and you're just still like attached to memories of the times that you and your ex spent together, right? But I mean, it all comes together very well, right? But just conceptually, it's very how to say, I don't want to use the term personal, but it just really feels like, wow, like this is me all alone, and I'm just like ruminating on all these thoughts, all these memories, and this is just me being poetic as to how I feel about her. You know what I mean? Sure. That's what I pick up on this track here.
Well, Rest My Case is a song mainly about repeating the day. Where essentially what you were saying, everything's so repetitive. It's like everything's changing around you, but everything's the same at the same time. And you can take it from, I think there's a line in there that says copy and paste.
Yes.
And that's essentially, it's like, this is that moment where everything is understood about the whole cycle lifespan of everything that you just went through of those first songs. And you realize now that it's just over and over again. It's just a repetitive nature of it all. And that is something that I think everybody has to face, that moment at some point when you're going through this kind of relationship. Because the problem with the toxic relationship is getting out of it,
That's right.
Because you're there and there's a reason, whether it's you're obsessed in you're codependent, whether it's just you're sexually compatible, but everything else you're not, and you just don't want to lose that part, or maybe you're really compatible in some ways, but then the person's kind of bipolar and you can't handle the changes. And there's all types of ways in which you get trapped in a situation and you until you realize that that repetitive thing is happening, and you get yourself off the hamster wheel as the rat in the cage, if you will,
Yeah.
until you figure out the way out of that, and you can get to that out of that cage, and let yourself go. And that's why throughout this album, there's moments in which you could have gotten off, but you didn't,
Yes.
and you kept going, and that cycles all the way to this song. And you're wondering at the end of this song, there's one more song left. Will it be the goodbye song? Like Falling Down from my first album is the last song and it's about saying goodbye? Or will you start the cycle all over again?
Yeah.
And in the emotional pleading of everything, and with the song and the name of the album, Can't Do Anything Right, there is no better way than having the most poetic and beautiful song to repeat everything again.
I love that. I love that, right? So yeah, reset my soul, right? So for the time I'm listening to this album, I'm like, just loving these songs and whatnot. Just getting the vibe, meaning narrative and whatnot. I'm seeing what this protagonist is going through, and then reset my soul hits way, and it's like I just want to give this character of yours like a virtual hug. Like like
Yeah.
I could so understand where this guy is coming from,
Yeah.
but at the same
Yeah.
time, if I were in his shoes, I would have just said, nope, it's
Nope.
done. I have to accept it, even though a part
Exactly.
of me wants her back. It's done. But I could honestly relate to that notion of, okay, if just give me one more try. Like I just know it. I just know it. And I just felt that with this song here, boy. Wow, this final track, it hit. It really hit. It really hit. And in particular, it's just just the lyrics and especially your vocals, just how you express them, right? Yeah, I just felt it, boy, and especially with the music in the background. Wow, it's just so gorgeous, boy. But it's so like on the one hand, you could kind of pity this character for feeling this way, like, all right, I really, really, really want to be with this girl, but mentally, you're like, no, like you've tried this 3 times already. It's not gonna happen, man. But like I could honestly understand where you're coming from with this, man. And yeah, I mean, outside of in my head, this is another pick for like one of my favorite songs on this record, man. Perfect way to end this one. I wouldn't like perfect
Well,
week.
thank
Sorry
you.
to end this off.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say it's interesting too because we decided to on the vocals, it's much more natural.
Yeah.
It's more of it's like singing a poem rather than a song. And so, and yeah, for me, the writing on it, I loved it, especially the ending, the last
Oh
sequence.
yes.
It's very, very, and I know
Yeah.
Jonathan will tell you, the producer, he's like, man, he's like, he did a little mix, like a little mix at the end of like the very last lines in the song. He did like an electronic mix of it just for fun because he
Okay.
said it was so fire. He said those last lines, and honestly, I felt it was a really, really poignant way to end, and I like that it doesn't necessarily end with you being back with someone. It also says, maybe we can just be friends and not
Yeah.
enemies.
And then enemies. Yeah.
And so it leaves the door open for open the door. There you go.
Ah.
It leaves that open for you to be able to, even if you maybe the ending isn't the happy ending that you wanted, but maybe you can figure out a way really to just be at peace with each other instead of this. There's always something to be said for leaving things unfinished and in a bad way, right? So, it doesn't feel good to hate anybody.
No.
It's
No. No. No.
you
Yeah.
don't. I'm not someone that prescribes to that fact. I mean, sure, there's people I hate, but these people are really usually bad people. And I don't like to hate anyone, but there's some people that are just bad people, right?
Correct.
Apart from that, sometimes it's not about the person being bad. It's about the relationship just won't work. But that doesn't mean you're bad or they're bad. Maybe there's a way to be at peace with each other in a different way. It doesn't have to be that you're back together. And so it doesn't end necessarily back together. It does leave that open to say, well, we're going to at least be hopefully at peace. Let's try to get to a common ground. And it might be back together. It might be apart, but it might be at least we would be on good terms when we see each other. Or, there's many ways that it can go. And I think the idea was that you have powerful emotions, powerful feelings, and you want to give those feelings to somebody that you love. But at the same time, be mature about it and find a way to live in peace with whatever happens in the end. And I think maybe that moment is throughout the life cycle of the album is maybe, yes, you shouldn't try it again, but maybe also you're being mature this time around and you're saying, okay, I accept that maybe it won't work, but at least let's try to be friends,
Yeah.
So there is a good message either way you want to interpret it.
Right. Nice. And I imagine this is a song that well, have you performed this live?
No. It's one that
or it's not designed.
I don't think I would like to perform all the songs live, but the band, we have a lot of songs in a very short period of time.
Oh, okay.
And I think for us, it's more like I would probably do this in an acoustic live setting. But again, the band would have to practice it, and we try to be perfect. Our shows are very, very, very good, but we also try to be perfect with what we deliver. And so, if I want to do it, they do it. But it would be like, okay, next tour we'll pick one song or two songs and add those two songs only. We don't want to change too much because you want to be really good at what you deliver to people. So. And right now, the songs on our playlist are pretty much "Catch Me," "Like Candy," are always included. "Never Too Late," "Good Is Gone" are there. "In My Head" and "Dagger" from the new album too. We also play sometimes "Work to Do" from Dirty Clean. We tried "Demons." Can't Do Anything Right, but both of those songs are very hard to do live without a sound engineer with you, someone that knows you and knows exactly what to do with those songs. And so there's some songs that we'd love to do that we can't do. We want to go back to the first album. We've played it all before. "Eyes on You" is one of the songs that I would, if you listen to that album, that's the one I would listen to first. Very simple and beautiful song. But yeah, "Come Away With Me" is also on that list, "Maze of Doubt" sometimes, but we also try to, for Argentina, we also throw in a couple unique covers that we do, like "Sweet Dreams." I want them to hear what you say about "Sweet Child of Mine" because the band is torn on that. They're torn on that. They don't think it's as good as I think it is. And because I think traditionalists always have a problem with you changing something
different. Yeah.
But I tried to hold true to the core and change everything at the same time. And that way it could be totally ours, but completely understandable what the song is and what it is about. Of course, I did change the entire ending, but that is, look, that's what I like to do. And, it's always a risk when you take one of the best songs of all time and try to make it your own. So.
Yeah, I imagine it's like that for any cover or any remake.
Yeah, right? I don't like doing covers because I have a harder time connecting with the lyrics that I didn't write. So.
Okay. So even if it's a song that you love and you get, be hard for you
I can do some, like I would have no problem doing "Sweet Child of Mine." We've done that in an acoustic cover before. We do "Pumped Up Kicks" from Foster the People. That song we do really well. But again, we do it a little bit on our own way. "Sweet Dreams" is a chance for the background vocalist to come in and give me a little break. But we have our own version of "Sweet Dreams" by Eurythmics, which is really powerful, really cool. And we played some different covers, But traditionally, I don't like to play covers. It's not nothing against it, but when I'm writing Echo Strike, and since we've done it, I very rarely even listen to other music. I focus and listen over and over to the new stuff I'm creating, because I don't like to copy anybody. And even if I start listening to somebody else during those moments, maybe I will subconsciously copy something. I don't want to do that if I can. If it's inside me already, because from years of listening to music, then fine, it comes out and I can't help that. But I can help prevent creating something that I just heard, and I can help prevent that by not listening to other music while I'm in that process, which has been for 4 straight years. So.
Right. I totally understand it. So a couple more questions, I should say, before we part ways, right? So what's next for Echo Strikes, particularly this new album that I've only heard and seen seen one video, heard the accompanying single that is hit or miss. So what can people expect with this new album? And could you give us a title, or you still want to keep that on your wraps for now?
Well, I can tell you what I proposed yesterday to the band, that I don't know if it will stick with that title or not, but I will if you'll be the first to know it outside if they go with it. But right now, the concept I like is I would like to call it Wonderland. That would be the title I would choose at this present moment, because the idea of this album starts off going through the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland style. So I like literature and I like the concept, and we're not traveling down the Alice's rabbit hole, but we're traveling down our own rabbit hole, because I'm going to give you a flavor of something. I'm not even promising this song will be on the album, but I think it will. But if this doesn't shock you, if this is the first song, just listen to the.
I'm just picturing.
Seems to be going in reverse. Here is another universe. Come now, something by my head, something loose.
Okay. So you're right with that electronic music direction, man. But why I was doing this is that it literally feels like I'm just falling down that rabbit hole, and when that pre-hook comes in, I'm like smack on the ground, and I'm like just looking around, I'm just seeing colors and weird stuff.
Well, you will the entire album in 2 ways is going to feel like that, because you're in another universe, because we are going down a completely different path of sound. Now, there will be songs like Hit or Miss isn't so far removed from some of the things we've done in the past, but it is like synthwave, right? So it is a very different, it is still different than anything we've done. And I believe probably of all the songs that I've made, the most marketable song. That I love that song, and everybody that has listened to it is in love with that song. From my mother, who is hardcore, hard to please, to my daughter, who is impossible to please, to my, friends and people that like rock, they love Hit or Miss. So I'm pretty sure that song is a big time winner. And we also think that the electronic, which is more Jew and myself like electronic music more than the rest of the band. I think the band likes electronic music in general, but rock is more prevalent to the guitarists. Well, they got their rock album, so now we're going to do our more electronic style album. But that does not mean that we won't have guitars in that electronics a la kind of Daft Punk style. So we do that song right now does not. Hit or Miss has some, but we haven't added it, and I'm not sure they will get added to that song. It's some debate on that because I love the song so much as it is that we're still kind of deciding if we're going to put those. They're beautiful guitars, but they crowd the space. So we're still in a lot of production. But the idea is this Wonderland is a lot of songs that there will be, as there always will be, songs that will talk, there'll be relationship feeling songs, but in general, that isn't the concept. The concept is going to be, try to imagine yourself when you're in that new place that you've fallen through the rabbit hole, you're in a new place, and all the songs are going to kind of feel like, there's one called Find a Way that's really talking about, it's more like what we are as humanity and what we're trying to do, what we have to do to survive this, world that's growing and maybe we're burning it down. We got to do something together. We got to find a way to do it. But in general, it doesn't speak. Nothing speaks absolute to anything, more or less. But they're all going to have that kind of sound to it. Ride the Wave is another one. There's a lot of songs. I don't know which ones are going to be on the album yet. I just know that there's a song called Into the Sun that got somehow released to my mother, who sent it to my father, who sent it to people in England, who sent it to someone. I'm like, dude, it's not even mixed. Why? What are you doing? How did you get that? I think someone sent it to my mom, who asked for it, and then she sent it out, and I'm like, guys, you can't do that. But it's gonna be a very different album because Jew and I are working on it together. I'm focusing some of the songs are gonna have some of my music, and some will have some of his music, and some will have both of our music. The bass concept, but I'm having him design most of the bass track so that I can create and spend a lot more time on the vocal arrangements and create that power. Because in the past, every album, every song, I've created the entire composition, and then they would replace my guitar with their composition of that guitar. But the structure was always mine from the beginning. This album, I wanted to not do that because I wanted the opportunity to build a song not based on my thoughts. I wanted the bass to be someone else. Now I'll cut it up and I'll create the song structure oftentimes, but the music there was designed by a lot of times by him to base it. So he'll have a lot more to say on this album. But it's allowing me to explain. You heard that entire song, except for the chorus, which we didn't get to. That entire song is in falsetto. So.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So and there's a couple songs like that we're hitting. I'm hitting some real high notes, and it'll be fun to see where these go. But man, I have this is an entire. These are all. Whoops. You can because
we saw a bit of it.
The background is in here somewhere. Oh, you can't see it there. So these are all songs that are competing for the first album right now, or for this fifth album. And I have a couple cool things. Conceptually, so this is definitely just, I just sent this to them yesterday. This is just for a concept, not anything more than that. But I was like, oops. This background thing, it really sucks.
This background thing.
Where do I have to show it to do it? What is that?
Yeah, see, no notification.
You gotta do it like that. See that? Right. You can kind of see it, but anyway,
yeah.
It's not the cover, but the idea was to get, because I'm gonna have an artist design it. But what I imagine is, because they said, one of them was like, we don't need to include us in the cover. I said, no, I don't want us to be big in the cover. I want us to be in a swirl falling through this hole in the sky. And we're there, but so is all these other things, whether they're feelings and shapes and people and other things that are talked about in the album, all coming through this hole into this universe, into this new place. And I want an artist to do it. So I'm talking to a couple artists that are somewhat popular artists here, and I'm going to talk to some in Argentina to see about actually painting the album cover.
All right. So I've done this in the past, so this is going to be the final question, right?
Yep.
So you know, as someone who is able to more or less get a team of like-minded individuals to craft some great music and put out some great albums, including this one here, Can't Do Anything Right. It's one of my favorites of this year. Just let you know, absolutely love it, and you know, keep on making the great music, I must say. But yeah, any advice you just want to give, like up and coming, or you know, just musicians, or I don't want to use the term indie, but yeah, well, those who aren't signed by a label, who you know just
Which is
want to
most.
put out great music, even though you know they don't have that label push. You know, what I mean,
Well,
like what advice would you give them?
I think the first thing you have to understand is the streaming platforms are not necessarily a place you want to rely or bank on anything, no matter how many streams you get. We've had all types of problems with Spotify paying the streaming stuff because of you know, if I hire a bunch of advertisers or marketers to market it, and one person does something wrong, they can literally say, well, you have some fake streams, so we're not going to pay anything. And that stuff can happen, but they wouldn't do that to Beyonce if someone just paid and put 10,000 fake streams on her stuff. We don't do that. We prefer to do everything the absolute legitimate way. And I'd say stay true to that. I'd say if you want to get into it, putting out an album, don't rush it. You know, that's the first thing. But secondly, don't rely on that. You're going to it's a very expensive process to get big if you want to try to. Unless you're lucky and you fall into the right place or know the right people, it's very hard. So you need to enjoy creating something and knowing that even if 5 people listen to it, but they're affected by it in a positive way, then it's there and it's there forever, as long as you want it to be. And so for me, that's what matters to me in the end. If we, you know, get huge, or I don't care, the money part doesn't really, that's not my driving force for this. And that's probably a good thing. I'd say also, if you're older and you were doing it before, but you gave it up, I'd say you want to feel young again, get back into it. That's the other thing, because you have the opportunity to give your message. And you're also, you know, if you're a little older, maybe you're more, I think if I had done this when I was 20 or 19, when I started, or when I was playing on stage before, if I had kept going down that path, I don't know if I could handle the success that I'm having right now at that moment in the right, inappropriate way. For example, after a show, you know, knowing I'm playing the next night or whatever, I go back to the hotel, I go to sleep. You know, I don't need to party. I don't need to do those things. If it's the last night of the show, sure. You know, if I have a break or whatever, yeah. But I'm not. I just think I know how to handle things. So even if you put out a great album and you get some success, you need to understand that it's a business, it's a profession, you want to make it and enjoy it, but also be responsible in how you behave and how you approach things, because especially as a singer, you know, your voice is all you got. And if that voice goes, I've had several times where I've had to deal with being sick, because I had last trip, I got a sinus infection right before I got on the plane. And I knew 5 days later I was playing, and I was, you know, I don't like that feeling. I don't get any butterflies or anything. I have absolutely no stage fear at all. I don't even feel nerves. I maybe in the beginning a couple of years ago, but I don't feel that. But I do a little when I have a little cold or something, and I know I'm gonna have to navigate how to get through this show and keep my voice the whole time. And that's a little scarier proposition, because you know you got to do it, and at the same time you got to know where your points of interest are and where you have to kind of go back a little bit. Or the deal is this: enjoy making the music, enjoy getting it out there. Don't fixate on the money. And if you're at a stage in your life where you need money and you're not making it, it's something you can still do again if you need to take a sidetrack and build your life in another way. You just, right. But don't let the music leave you either. You can always come back to it. So yeah, it's a lot of good advice I can give people with a lot more time. You know what I mean? But the truth is, you shouldn't be doing this for the money, and definitely not for the fame, because that part is completely overrated.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about that. The fame part is actually the part I don't mind. People, go strike when I'm in Argentina walking down the street. It's happened, but the point is that part I don't. I would prefer to, and I will continue to stay and be who I am and who I've been. Which is when I'm in Texas right now, I'm chilling. I'm at my office. I'm at the house. I'm making music, but I'm not going out there partying, doing anything. I save my moments and my energy for the stage. And that hour that I'm up on that stage, I've got everything I can give. And if you ever see a show, you'll know I give it all the sweat pouring out of me, my energy, I give it out there and people feel it. And that is how you connect with people. You have to give it all at the moment.
Right. I love that, man. Great advice, man. So, here's your chance to plug yourself and Echo Strike. So
awesome.
Where can people find you and where can people find Echo Strike online?
Well, echostrike.com, obviously, the website will have all our songs and things that we're doing. But usually Instagram's our top place because, I can only keep up with one social media, honestly. So Echo Strike Music.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's too much for me. TikTok, we have at Echo Strike. I think it's just at Echo Strike, if I'm not mistaken. And we have, I don't know, a couple thousand followers there, but we don't really push that. I should, and maybe I'll have someone doing that soon enough. But I personally manage with some help, but I manage the Instagram one, and it's why we just passed, I think, 16,000 followers. And so we try to update people there. On Spotify, just look up Echo Strike, Apple Music, any streaming platform, and on YouTube, I think it's just /Echo Strike now. I think you can get there. But we have a lot of great content coming up on YouTube, so definitely subscribe to us there. We have like 5,000 something followers, or subscribers. We haven't, again, marketed it like we should. So I really, really need all the help we can get doing that. That's the hardest thing for me, is to spend money on marketing in the ways that I should, because I'm spending the budget on doing videos and touring and having to spend somewhere. So the marketing part is the hardest part. So the only way we can get the word out is people helping us. And that's you can only get so much from people. And so hopefully, the music will start reaching more people, and those people will help us get the word out.
All right, that's great. So Randy, thank you so much for coming through. We've had a nice chat. Great album once again. Love it. One of the best I've heard this year. Guys, if you haven't checked out Can't Do Anything Right, please do. It's available on, I would say, major streaming platforms. I don't want to say all streaming platforms, but it's there. It's great. Y'all love it. Y'all check it out. You know what I mean, Randy? I just want to see you and your band keep growing, keep shining, keep doing great things, keep making great music. And I can't wait for, I don't want to say Wonderland as yet, but whatever the name of this, new record you're coming out with very soon. Is it going to be coming out next March? I realize usually have a March release date.
Yeah,
so is it going to be next March?
We could say that's about the right time, because it'll probably come out before. So after this short tour that I'm having here in December, we probably won't tour again till March or April. So it would likely be this little window where we would begin finalizing some of that music, and probably push for March or April release, so that it's there for the next tour. And the only thing is how we're going to do the tour with the electronic and the rock together. That's a whole nother ball game. But anyway, and let me say, Matthew, it's always a pleasure. Your writing is some of my favorites.
Thank you,
I
thank you,
know that.
and thank you. Sorry, I forgot, but
No,
thank you so much for posting my reviews on your blog, man. I really appreciate that. You know, what I mean,
of
it's
course.
not just drawing people to my work, but just showing that there are other people, not just in the United States or whatever, but in the Caribbean that's actually listening to your work and really appreciate what you guys are doing, man.
Well,
So
I won't.
yeah,
I won't
thanks
be.
for that.
I won't be far from you. When I get back from the tour, I do have a 1 week cruise. So I'm going to like Honduras
Okay.
and Cozumel and I think somewhere else. So I'm finally gonna. It's like the first vacation in like 3-4 years or something. So
Nice.
so at least I'll.
I've been meaning to get one, but I don't know. I've just been
It's so hard.
grinding a lot,
It's so
man.
hard. I
Yeah.
have to do it over the holiday. I'm gonna do it. But
Yeah.
anyway, again, thanks so much for your insight. I love how deep you go and how much you really understood, and the band appreciates that too. They've told me they always read your reviews, so we'll keep this going. And I always like, to me, it doesn't matter, the influence of any one reviewer. What matters is that the reviewer really sees the picture. So as you grow, hopefully you can grow through this and also see other bands and pop and
Of
rock
course.
that
Yes.
you may have a channel that is specific to one, but I know you're open to many.
No, yeah. It's
So-
similar to movies. I'm just open to a lot of genres.
And so we're hopefully with us doing that, we can send you some other ones too. If only I wasn't surrounded by all Spanish speaking bands, but maybe you could do one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm down, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm gonna mention. I'm just for fun at one of the shows we have at Trasienda. We play. Usually, there's 4 bands playing in the same show, and we always meet some really cool, interesting, and Argentina popular bands. So maybe because they all speak English, at least some, I'm gonna say, look, you guys go get your album reviewed and pass you along. Let's see if we can get an Argentine band to do a review with you, just for fun.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. Yeah. So if you could hook that up, I'm
Why not?
appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Why not? I'm a man that likes to connect people, so
Yeah. So yes, once again, thank you for coming through. It's been fun. We had a blast. And thank you guys for listening and watching this episode here. So yeah, until the next time, take care. Peace, everyone.
peace.